Greetings, Deep Dive Podcast listeners. This is your boy, Sam Orum, coming at you with the next episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. I'm so excited because this is the premiere of season three. We're kicking off season three with a whole new episode. Man, I can't even tell you how excited I am. You see, I can't even get my words out that I have an opportunity to go into a third season of a podcast that literally started on a whim. But it is truly an honor to be able to just bring you the Deep Dive Podcast. I want to welcome all of our guests, all of our listeners from all over the world. As most of you who are part of our podcast family, we're originating in 172 countries around the world. This podcast is being translated in some places. So we're super excited about it. And to kick off season three, I actually have it's kind of like a guest, but a guest interviewer. So you'll get a chance to hear a little bit about that in a second. But I wanted to make sure that I thank all of my sponsors for supporting me throughout seasons 1 and 2 and continuing that support into season three. We're talking about Chick-fil-A and Lexus and all of the supporters, all of the sponsors. Thank you guys so much for your support. All of you who have listened, the Deep Dive Podcast group that's on Facebook. I know you guys are tuned in. We're doing this deal live now on Facebook, live on YouTube. We're on all of the podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple, Google, Amazon Music, and so many more. And of course, we're on our own family network, which is One Voice Radio. So we got a lot going on, a lot of people that are joining us, and a lot happening with the Deep Dive Podcast. So that being said, I would really want to jump right into it. And, I'm sorry, not episode, but season three is so special. I wanted to kick this off with talking a little bit about my book. And it's called The Mindset of a Champion. And, in season two, we kind of introduced the mindset of a champion. I really didn't, put a lot of emphasis on it because I wanted the entire season to be about you, empowering you. How could we help build you to the next level in terms of your life and your journey? But so many people kept asking about the book. So many people kept asking about, what is it that we can do to be a part of the mindset of a champion? Can you explain what it is? And so a very good friend of mine who's going to actually, you'll hear from shortly, he created a book club, called the Mindset of a Champion Book Club. And that thing has taken off. He'll tell you more about it, but it is taken off, and it's kind of forced me to come out of my comfort zone a little bit and talk about the book. And as opposed to me trying to interview myself, I actually asked him to represent the book club that they created and, just share with the audience some questions that the book club may have. I haven't even had an opportunity to join on the book club yet. So, we'll talk about all those things, but I want to introduce you to a guy that's very special to me. He is my friend, very, very good friend. He is a business partner extraordinaire, a hugely successful businessman. As a matter of fact, he's the president of all of the brands of One Voice Worldwide and all of their brands. But here's the thing. He has his own podcast that has numbers that are through the roof. I mean, you're talking about incredible numbers. They have a lot of fun on his podcast. It's called Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, and those casts are crazy. So I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I have so much respect for him, and it's amazing how God worked to have him even do this interview representing the book club, because this just really wasn't intended to be this way. It just through so many different things happening, this is how it turned out. So with that being said, I would like to introduce to the world, introduce to some, present to others, and reintroduce even to the Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette podcast world. Everybody is tuning in now to the Deep Dive Podcast. Please, everybody, let's welcome Mr. Stanley Doucette. Mr. Doucette, how you doing?
Wow. We in the building, baby. Shout out to everybody listening. Deep Dive
I can tell now it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we going in today, baby. They didn't let the cat out the bag. Then he gave me a mic. Oh, baby.
All right.
How you doing, Doc?
Absolutely. I am doing incredible, man. I tell you, getting ready for tonight and getting ready for, the launch of the third season. It is incredible. It's a great, great feeling because so many people have been touched. But to answer your question, I'm feeling incredible.
Yeah, you feeling incredible because you got me running around this country like a wild man. That's what it
Hey,
is.
we gotta do what we gotta do.
Listen, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to just, allow me to interview you about your book. I've been fussing behind the scenes. People don't know about this. I've been fussing behind the scenes about we got to do a real interview. We got to talk about this book on your podcast. Let's get it. So finally, I'm glad, as they say, the stars and the moon aligned now that we're able
Mhm.
to actually converse about it. So I'm glad. You ready to get started?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You
Absolutely.
sure? Shout out to
I
all
hope
my
I'm
people
ready.
from Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. All the deep dive podcasts, y'all in for a hell of an experience today, baby. So
And don't
listen.
forget the book club.
I'm gonna talk about them all throughout. A lot of people
Okay.
on sincerity, Doc. We saw the book. We read the book when it first came out, from cover to cover. A lot of times, I have this and I have all of these bookmarkings and highlights and all of that stuff throughout the book. And I notice a lot of times when I see people interviewing with CBS or CNN, they get these books and they're brand new and shiny. And people ain't read not a letter of the book. However,
Right.
there is a book club that I mentioned to you that is literally dissecting every single word in every single chapter of your book. And it has opened up things that you have no idea that was even there. I mean, there's healing that's taking place. There's opening up thoughts. There's opening up of the heart. There's opening up of spirits. There's opening up of business ideas just on the book club going through each chapter. So, what I thought it would be apropos is just to grab some questions from some of the members from the book club to just ask you,
Mhm.
how certain things happen. So if it's okay, I would like to dive right into it and just start
Okay.
asking you some questions. So one of the members asked, how long did it take you to actually write the book?
Well, when you're talking about writing a book or things of that nature, a lot of times it comes from life experiences, right? So when you look at it, my journey in terms of writing the book, A Mindset of a Champion, there are parts of the book that are experiences from my entire life, from birth to where I am in terms of when the book was published. But specifically, just sitting down, pen to paper, it was about a 2-3 year process because one of the things, if anybody ever written a book, essay, anything like that, you have to kind of be in a certain mindset, really, pun intended, but you have to be of a certain mind to really be able to be creative in that particular space. So there are a lot of times where I wanted to write. There were other times where I just really didn't want to be bothered with it. And so it took about it was about a 2 year process in order for it to be totally complete and just ready for publishing.
Okay. 2, 3 years. Whew. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's yeah, it takes some time. It does take some time to do it the right way. You don't want to
yeah,
cram it, but yeah, it takes some time.
absolutely. What inspired you to actually write the book itself?
I've always been consider myself like a cerebral person. That means I like to think, I like to strategize, I like to plan, things of that nature. And there came a time where I started to study what successful people did.
Mm,
How
yes.
do successful people think? What is it that causes them to have success when the other person would not have success, being everything else being equal? And so it kind of boiled down to just how people thought. And I became intrigued with that. I remember talking to this billionaire guy by the name of Bill Britt. It's been many years ago, and he talked about, just how do you build, a $1 billion company? It comes from a certain type of mindset. A lot of times people say, "Well, Sam, I want to do what you do," but the question becomes, do you want to do what I did?
Yeah.
What I did, it was a process. What I did was a lot of heartache and pain and blood, sweat, and tears. And when I started to think about all of the people who had success, I realized there was a common denominator there. And that's kind of how it got started. Just
Mm.
my being intrigued with how, successful people think, to be honest with you.
That's deep. That did you put
Yeah.
some of your own thoughts in this book yourself? Because
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I consider you successful. So did you put some of
Well,
your, goods and bads in here?
yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, I did. I absolutely a lot of my own experiences. I'll give you an example. Like I went through a lot of things in terms of building, whether it's companies or ideologies or coaching or whatever it may be, in terms of my building process. And there were a lot of ups and downs. There were some things that I may not have been so proud of in terms of my journey, but it's in the book because,
Mhm.
I give a perfect example. It's like there are a lot of times where I saw people having success, the kind of success that I thought I should have, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
wasn't happy for them. I
Yeah.
wasn't happy for them at all. I wasn't happy. I'm like, you're supposed to be, the godly thing is to do is to be happy and oh, my time is coming and oh, I'm happy for you. And no, sir, I wasn't happy. I can't be me.
Oh
But
my
I put that in
goodness.
the book. Yeah, I put that in the book because, you know, that's a part of
Yes,
understanding
that is.
that your time is coming. What's
Mhm.
for you is for you. There's a book called The Prayer of Jabez, and it talks about things and blessings that are stored for you. And I didn't understand that at the time when I suffered from stinking thinking and just wasn't happy for nobody, right?
Mhm.
And I realized finally that a part of my process, a part of my journey is understanding what's for me is for me. And it didn't matter about those other things. So I learned that. So I put that in the book. So to answer your question, yeah, I did have some personal experiences, a lot of personal experiences. As a matter of fact, that's a part of the book.
I just wanted to share that those first couple questions was from Miss Linda Johnson. These are
Okay.
going to come from Miss Tracy Coleman. Um,
Miss Tracy Coleman. Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But before I get to Miss Tracy Coleman's questions, I want to ask you something that is a beat off the path a little bit, but I think also still falls under the mindset of a champion. We get beat up so much throughout society with so many different things and so
Mhm.
many different ways things happen. How did you pick yourself up when things were just absolutely atrocious, when everything
Mhm.
was coming at you? How did you actually pick yourself up and, just be like, you know what? I'm going to still be a champion. I'm still going to win.
Right. Well, for me, it was simple, and it's a simple three-letter word. It's why.
Mm,
WHY.
okay.
Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why? What is your purpose in life? If you find a big enough reason to do something, then that becomes the mandate. That becomes the mission. Why are you doing what you're doing? See, God gave you the gift of life, and what you do with that life is your gift back to God. But what's going to keep you going, even in the midst of adversity? So, answering your question for me, it was finding out why I was doing this. And initially, it was all about my mom. It
Hmm.
was about how could I give her the best quality of life while she was living. How could I, retire her from her job? See, when I was looking to retire my mom from her job, I didn't care people who talked about me or chastised me or called me crazy, or I didn't care about all those things.
Right.
And it was a double-edged sword because not only did I not care because I was focused on retiring my mom or making her life better. That was the first part. The second part is I didn't care because I don't care what people think about me. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so when those things would come, it's like, okay, I'm focused. I got to retire my mom. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to build this empire. I got to empower people. I had to do all of these things that became so important to me that other people's ill mindset could not affect my championship mindset. I would
Yes.
not allow it to affect me in any way. So when things got tough,
Hmm.
When things were at the most difficult, that's when I focused more on my why. When you're talking about whether it's, resources, whether it's doors opening or even closing, whether it's, you're talking about getting a book published, or you're talking about all of these things that are required for a successful person to be successful, you're going to go through adversity. You're going to go through trials and tribulations. You're going to go through all of those things. But the question is, what's going to keep you in the game? It is your why you're doing it. And most people, the reason that they do not succeed in their chosen field is because their why is not bigger than the pain that they're dealing with on an everyday basis. You got to have this thing like, you know what? I'm staying focused. I got to do what I need to do. I got to do it in the manner that I need to do. I don't
That's
care
right.
what comes my way. So that was the deal for me, man. Just focusing in on what I really wanted to do. And in the job isn't over. I'm still in the midst of
Right.
creating that future, if you will.
That's right. Inside of that, sir, and as a lot of people look at these interviews as one thing, but as we're continuously pushing forward, right? Ms. Tracy Coleman asked, how many times did you fall and get back up before you finally grasp the concept of success or the championship or that particular mindset?
Yeah, to be honest with you, success and what you call, I don't look at it as failure. I look at it as a challenge. My mind can't conceptualize failure. So I
Hmm.
look at everything as a challenge, but that's a continuous process. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, how much money you have, how much power, how much status, you're always going to run into those obstacles, challenges, or what some people may call failures. But here's the thing that, again, will keep people going. And this is another one of those common denominators with people who have that championship type mentality. It starts with little successes. It
Hmm.
starts with little success. You have a small success here, right? And then you have another small success here. And then you have a success here. And before you know it, you have conditioned yourself for massive success. I tell
Yes.
people this, and a lot of people don't believe this, but this is the God's honest truth from my perspective. My mind cannot conceptualize failure.
Hmm.
I cannot even think of what failure means. My mind cannot conceptualize that. Now, does that mean that I don't fail? No, it doesn't mean that. It
Right.
means that I can't, I genuinely cannot conceptualize what failure means. Like I've used this example before. We can both pick up a video game right now, right? And I may not have ever played this video game before, but I
Right.
totally expect to win. I
That's
totally
right.
expect to win,
That's
right?
right.
And if I lose, and probably will, but I'm genuinely surprised
Hmm.
because my mind can't conceptualize failure. So when you start looking at these little bitty successes, for Miss Tracy Coleman and that question, what you want to be able to do is create an environment where you always win. You
Hmm.
start with something small and you build upon that and you build upon that. You know that if you do something 21 days consecutively without fail, that becomes a part of you, right? You do that same said thing about 90 days consecutively without fail, then it's almost irreversible. So this is
Yeah.
why you want to create good habits. So you
Hmm.
start to create. I wonder if you, and this is a question to the book club and everybody listening around the world. I wonder if you, for the next 90 days, identify a habit that you can focus on, that you know you can succeed at, and just do that consecutively for the next 90 days. It could be something simple, but you know you can do it. Drink X number of bottles of water, or get X number of hours of sleep, or whatever it may be. What starts to happen is you're going to condition that subconscious mind for that particular success. Now, as I coach people, I'm an executive coach and I coach people and I talk to people and I sit on boards and all of these things have become second nature to me simply because over the years I have created an environment that allows me to have these types of thoughts, mindsets, and ideologies of success that are just a part of me. I may not be able to cook, I may not be able to paint, I may not be able to do a whole lot of things, but the one thing that I can do, it is to think because I
Mhm.
created that environment intentionally.
Yeah, that's good. You talking about, you call them small successes. On my end, I'll call them victories. Your one victory.
Hmm.
Just to that thing. Imagine this: every time you do, you just get one victory, and you just get
That's right.
one victory, and then you continue to pile those victories up until you get to that championship of what you're talking about. I think this is so good.
Exactly.
What as a champion, the mindset of a champion? Let's get into this, man. It's just you
Okay.
mentor some people all around the world. I know a little bit more than some people, but let's talk about this. You, in I think it was 2018, you was ordained Lord,
Mhm.
out of the United Kingdom, which was a great, again, congratulations on that. That's huge. And
Thank
you
you, sir.
live in Alabama, well, not Alabama, but you was born in Alabama and you live in Atlanta, but you
Hmm.
were ordained at the United Kingdom. That is
Yeah.
the mindset of a champion to me. How do you think all of that played out through your book of the mindset of a champion? I mean, from little beginnings to now, you have a territory in Hugon Manor. Help
Yeah.
us understand.
Yeah. Like you said, it's kind of humbling when I think about it. I did grow up in Alabama, actually a little area called Madison Park. Moved from there, a smaller town I say suburban Montgomery, and then moved to the projects, which was an upgrade.
Okay.
It was an upgrade. There used to be an area called Fifth Street in Montgomery. I think the
Wow.
Alabama State University kind of took that whole area over and rebuilt it. But when I was growing up there, it was quote unquote the projects. But when you start to see things, when you look back in retrospect, even
Yes.
hearing conversations from my mom and how my sisters always talk about this. Both of my sisters talk about how, our mom always talked about there's no such thing as can't.
Yes.
She must have
Mhm.
told them. I don't remember her telling me that. She must have told my two sisters that, or she
Shout out
probably
to
told me.
Carol and
But
Lisa.
right. She probably told me that, but I was a bad boy. I was a bad child. Anyway,
Oh my God.
yeah, I was bad. I was bad. I admit it. I repent to this day for being so bad. To be honest with you, the territory, and being ordained Lord and things of this nature, you have an opportunity to meet people around the world, people who have influence, people like my good friend King Salamathu, who was one of the people instrumental in terms of me being ordained as Lord and having a business. Think about this, coming from Madison Park, Montgomery, Alabama, to having a business in 18 different countries.
Yeah.
I had business in 18 different countries. But I think at the end of the day, the one thing that, and I say this humbly, the one thing that really manifests itself through titles and all these other things is the fact that my entire focus is the empowerment of people, right? When
Okay.
you focus on blessing, empowering other people, because you know me better than anyone. I don't like edification. I don't like the adulation. I don't really particularly care for the titles and all these other things, founder and Lord and all of that. I really don't get off into those things. However, I understand it is a representation of my purpose, which is the empowerment of people. So that whole deal came about people who, love and respect what I had done or what I continue to do in terms of empowering people. They wanted to acknowledge and recognize that in terms of, whatever it may be in building businesses or whatever, and even the title of Lord and having that spot in the Hugon Manor in England and all the other things that come your way, man. It's just again, a representation of the empowerment of people. That's all.
Man, this is so good. Miss Coleman also asked one of those things. How do you handle people? This is good. In all your successes, in the mindset of a champion, how do you handle people coming at you and trying to get close to you because of your status? You're an author, you're a founder, you're an owner. I ain't gonna go through all your titles. You just said you don't like that, but you get my point. How do you handle that for people. We're reading this book. We're reading this book cover to cover and having that success. So how did you handle all of those things from coming at you in that manner?
Well, for me, is like this. Very simple, but powerful. Very simple.
Okay.
I want them to come, right? Come, everybody,
Yes.
come,
Yes.
come to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: how long will you be able to stay?
Ooh.
Because I'm going to hold you. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to have high levels of expectation,
Yes,
and
sir.
I don't mind dismissing people who are toxic to my life. So everybody is welcome.
Say
Everybody is
that.
welcome. Come one,
Wow.
come all. Come one, come all. But let's see how long you're able to stay. Because I
Wow.
do believe, and I believe this with everything that's in me, that the spirit of my purpose will not allow negative people to stay in my presence for very long.
Yeah.
I have high expectations, not for me, not just for me, but for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
I expect greatness. I surround myself with people who have a great vision. You don't have to have things, you have to have a superior vision,
Ooh.
right? And I've been around so many people, it doesn't matter what their quote unquote status is. It's where's their mind, where's their vision, how are you going after your purpose? And very few people, Stanley, there's very few people can withstand the power and the
Yes.
might of
Mm-hmm.
expectations. Very
Ooh.
few people.
Man, you dropped
So
so many nuggets just now.
so as opposed to them, really showing their true colors in terms of what they are not willing to do, they just leave. They just leave. So that's my approach to it, Tracy. I allow everybody to come in. When people, a lot of times, even with our business, One Voice, a lot of times people
Mhm.
will come into One Voice and they'll have some success. Some people have a lot of success. Some people have little success. Some people don't have any success, and then they go from company to company to company. You know, when most times when people do that, because a lot of the companies are parallel. In other words, you may
Mhm.
think grass is greener on the other side. It's not. It's really you. And
Yes.
in a lot of cases, people run from expectations. When we expect you to be on time, where we expect you to, not only have your goals, but to have a plan to back those goals. When we expect you to, act a certain way and do a certain thing a certain way, then a lot of people start to coward away from those things, and then they just disappear. So what you're left with are people who have superior mindset, people who have superior visions, and you're always surrounded by people with that. I don't care what their status is. Some of my closest friends are people that no one would ever know about. It's just, what we would call just an average person doing an average thing, but they have an incredibly superior vision. Then I've had the honor to be mentored by, rest his soul, Dr. Miles Monroe, who was one of the foremost mentors in my life, to share with me about purpose and passion and prayer and people and all those P's, right? And then to be able to, again, rest his soul, to be able to work and build and converse with a Kobe Bryant, to develop that Mamba mentality where you don't lose. There is no such thing as
Yeah.
losing. It's either
Right.
winning or continuing to build toward a win. Those type things. But these people are around you because you've shaken the tree.
Yeah.
You've shaken the tree because you've allowed everybody to be a part of that environment, that atmosphere, and allowed those people who cannot sustain themselves through expectation to just wither away.
This man, this is so rich. I couldn't even keep up with the questions. But one thing you said that I think a lot of people are afraid to do, and that is to dismiss people for whatever the
Mhm,
reasons are, to dismiss
mhm.
those people. And I hear you sharing about our dear brother Kobe, right? And then, like you said, the Mamba mentality. How did you consistently develop? I call it the mindset of a champion. He called it the Kobe mentality, and all of the other people you mentor. How did you actually really dig deeper into that?
Well, again, I'm a big believer in mentorship, and I talk about that a lot extensively in the book, how important mentorship is. And one of my
Yes.
mentors taught and trained me on how to be absolute. And what does absolute mean? Absolute mean is either this or that. It's black or white. There is no hedging. There is no gray area,
Hmm.
and so I think in that manner, right? I think, this is what it is. Like when you're talking about business, this is what it is. Are
Yes.
you willing to do this? If you're not, then you're not, you can't succeed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
It's
right.
just not going, it's not going to happen. There is no middle ground. You're doing this business, whether it's One Voice, any other business, right? We talk about, there's something in One Voice what we call three-way calls. You have to do three-way calls with people just to get people engaged, so forth and so on. Well, that's part of the criteria. If you're not willing to do three-way calls, then the business is not for you.
That's right.
That's an absolute. You understand?
That's
That is
right.
an absolute. There is no gray area where I can kind of do this. I can kind of do. No, it doesn't work that way. And so I started to develop my thought process from an absolute manner. The bad part about it is people, they may call me arrogant. They may say I'm fussing all the time. A lot of times people take my passion and my absolute mindset for fussing or for arrogance or for all of these other things, but it's not. It is just factual. What I mean by that is, two things you cannot dispute. You cannot dispute a fact, and you cannot dispute my opinion. So
Ooh.
my opinion is my opinion. It cannot be argued by no one on God's planet called Earth. It cannot be disputed. This is my opinion. So anytime someone say, well, what I think is, or my opinion, it could be wrong from your perspective, but it cannot be disputed from theirs. It's their opinion. And obviously you can't dispute a fact. So I always start there. I start with those notions in mind. Either this is the fact of the matter. So either you perform to that level because this is a
Yeah.
fact, or this is my opinion, and I could be dead wrong, but you can't argue my opinion because this is what I think. That absoluteness is what the Mamba mentality is all about. It is
Mhm.
it is also one of those, again, common denominators that all champions and winners in life have. It is that mindset that is going to happen. This is the way it is, and like you like to say, period.
Period. Period.
Yeah, period.
Period. I'm gonna ask this question. This is from Miss Christine Jackson. She asks, "What is a champion's attitude towards hypocrisy?"
A champion's attitude toward anything negative is
Or hypocrites?
hypocrites. Anything negative, champions dismiss those things because you have to. You cannot live in a toxic environment. Les Brown talks about, when you come in contact with toxic people, just run from them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice. You have a decision to make. I have decisions to make as a leader, as a champion, having a mindset. Um, you know, um, this particular podcast is airing live. It's airing on Facebook. It's airing on YouTube. It's going to be on all of these platforms, Spotify, and all the things that I talked about. The one place is not airing is Twitter. The reason it's not airing because I'm getting off of all of Twitter and
Hmm.
everything that is Twitter because they got negative idiots now running Twitter. Now,
Right.
I have listeners out here who love Twitter and love the negative idiots, right? But listen to what I just said earlier. My opinion is my opinion, and it cannot be
Hmm.
disputed. And my opinion is negative idiots are running Twitter now, and I'm not going to be a part of it. So, what does that mean when you're talking about, as Christine say, hypocrites or people who have negative thoughts or anything? You have a decision whether or not you want to participate with that. I choose not to.
That's
I
right.
choose not to participate with hypocrites. I choose not to participate with people who have, a negative, toxic spirit, who have a racist mentality. I just choose not to do that. Now, that's just my story. Your story may be different. Some of my listeners, and we get into debates about this all the time, and that's perfectly fine. They're like, well, Sam, did you ever think about this? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think that this person may be doing this, or you may be tricked or fooled? I thought about all of it. And then I came to my conclusions.
Mm,
And my conclusions are what they are, right?
yeah.
And so, and you know me, the way I think is like I always think everything through. I don't speak, I don't do anything before I think things through. People
Hmm.
would look at President Obama and they say, you know, he have a serious issue with stuttering in terms of his speech, right? It's not so much that he's stuttering. He's being very careful in terms of thinking before he actually have those words come out of his mouth. I know this for a fact. Well, all I'm saying to that question, Christine, is we have a decision. We have a decision that we can either participate with negative thoughts, negative people, hypocrites, if you will, that type of mindset, or
Yeah.
not. There are so many people out here in the world who are raising their hand to say, "Hey, look, I want something. I want to be successful. I want to do
Yes.
this." And a lot of times we give so much attention and airtime and so much, energy to the people who are making the most noise when there's so many people out there who got the hand raised saying, "What about me? I want to help. I want to empower. I want to do these things." So that's kind of what, my thoughts are, just to stay away from negativity, including hypocrites.
I agree. I agree. Here's something else
Now
she asked you.
before she asks that, let me say this, because let me just go and get prepared. I know I'm gonna get those emails.
Oh, you know they coming.
The emails are coming. I know I'm gonna get some of my. I had a couple of sponsors drop me last season because of some of the things that I said. And here's the thing about being in having control of your life. I didn't care. I get sponsors to help other people. Even the sponsors who are here now, I don't care. I don't need your money. I
Right.
need your visibility. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna say what I need to say, but I know I'm gonna get these emails. I'm gonna get these calls. My sister, especially Carol, she's gonna be like, that she talk about this red button. And anytime I start flapping off at the gum, she's like, I need to press that red button. My mom, obviously before she passed, rest her soul, she was like, Sam, count to 10 before you say something. Count to 10 before you say something, because it just comes out. But again, that's a part of me being absolute. It's just the way I am.
I'm gonna tell a
But
secret.
I'm sorry.
Let me tell a secret.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell a
All right.
secret. Let me tell a secret. So this is a secret. So in that same vein, there are some times when Dr. Orm and I are at meetings, and let's just say a certain meeting is not going well, right? It doesn't meet our standards, our vision, or any of those things. Well, some of y'all may find this hard to believe, but I'm the nice one. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll take a look at it, and he'll get to running, get going with that mouth, and then I'll just jump up and be like, all right, guys, so we're gonna have a great meeting today, and thank you so much. And
Yeah, man. All of us have a dash in our life, and that's the year we were born. There's a dash, the day and the year we were born, in a dash, and the day and the year that we pass away. And for me, I'm in control of my dash.
that's right.
I'm in control of my dash. It's like people go through life and they try to impress people and do all of these things, and and when you pass and they have your funeral, you're lucky to have 100 people there. I
Right.
mean, why would you go through your entire life for however many years it is trying to impress people and do all of these things? And when you go on to glory, ain't those people not even there. So I don't care about that. I care about me controlling that dash, right? And I say it, and I actually, to be honest with you, I actually try to temper that down, because it does sound like you're just angry and you're
Right.
mad and you're
Mhm.
upset. And it's not that at all. To be perfectly honest, it's not that. I'm passionate about the success of people. And
Yes,
because when people ask me what my purpose is the empowerment of people.
that's right.
So when you're not being empowered, right, then
Mhm.
that does something to me. And I'm so passionate about empowering people that it comes across as fussing and all these other things. But yeah, man, my mom's like, count to 10, it's coming, count to 10, count to 10. My sister's like, oh Lord, I got my hand on the button. And like you say, you try to interrupt me, but I'm gonna get my words.
We know, but let me give the other caveat to that, right? I know a lot of times when we were saying this, and like you say, you're absolute, and people may take it as a different way, and all of those things. But let's not be confused. Let's not be confused. People that know you're one of the greatest minds that exist on planet Earth. Now, people may say, "Oh, that's just your boy. You know, you're gonna say that great things about him, and that's your friend." Listen, I've been in a lot of high level meetings with you, and I've been in a lot of just we kicking it by the tree. One of the greatest minds. So when you're saying something like the old commercial, what is E.F. Hutton? When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. When you speak, I think a lot of people need to listen because the clarity, the sincerity, the purity of it, the love that you have behind it, and the what would it say, unmitigated gall to say this, and we're going to make it
Right.
happen. They need to listen. They really need to listen.
Right.
They really need to
Right.
listen. So I want to
Well,
congratulate you on that because that takes a lot to do.
I appreciate you saying that, and I really do. In all sincerity, in all honesty, though, all I'm doing, and this is for everybody, is I'm regurgitating the things that I have learned over the years from people who
Mhm.
are smarter than I am. Right? I don't profess to know a whole lot of things. I really don't. But one thing that I do is, like I said, and again, this goes back to the premise of the book. I study the mindsets of how championship type people think, right?
That's
And they
right.
think a certain way. And so when I start to study these things and I start to consume these things, and when I'm mentored by Dr. Miles Monroe, and he talk about the 7 P's, your passion, your purpose, your prayer, people, and he talk about these things. Well, when I regurgitate this information, it makes it seem like I'm so smart and all of this, but all I'm doing is sharing a wealth of knowledge and information that I've learned. So why am I saying that? I'm saying for each and every one of you that's listening, it is incumbent upon each and every one of you to continue to saturate your mindset, to saturate your mind with things that are powerful and things that will help you and other people grow. You don't have time to continue to saturate your mindset with negativity and all these other things. Most people do that anyway. It is an
Mhm.
exceptional thing, and it takes an exceptional person to really succeed at the highest level without all of the negative stuff. If you if you post something on Facebook, right, about anything empowering or a opportunity or anything in the realm of success, something through ministry, you might get 4 or 5 people to like it, 10 or 5 or 10 people to like it, 2 or 3 people to share, and that's it. You're talking about ministry, you're talking about empowerment, you're talking about business, you're talking about ownership, you're talking about all these good things. You post somebody up there shaking their ass, they're gonna get thousands of likes and thousands of shares because they shaking their ass. It's really their head that's shaking because nothing is in it, right?
Ooh,
And but
ooh.
people do that. People do that. You got people who are I call them the good ministers and the good pastors who are out there and they're really doing the right things for the right reason, and they're reaching trying to get audience of people around the world. I'm not just talking about here in the United States, because we got people, like I said, listening in 172 countries, but you have people of faith who are reaching out, that are legitimately trying to help people and bring them to salvation or whatever your desired worship is. However you worship, right? They're trying to do things the right way. And it's a struggle because people's mindset are ill for the most part. People's
Mhm.
mindset are ill. If you talk about giving tithes and offerings or paying to go to a church or do these kind of things, or place of worship, or invest in your mindset, people ain't trying to pay $30 or $40 or $50 to go to a seminar or go to a place of worship to empower themselves. But let Beyonce or Usher or somebody have a concert. Not only are they
Right.
going to pay two, three, or $400 for the ticket, they're gonna get new shoes for the guys, new outfit or suits for the women. They're gonna get their, like we say in the country, their hair did, their nails did, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
I say that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody's life and what they're doing. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say though is the people who have that championship mindset, they don't think that way to the left. They always thinking about the progression of their purpose. I saw some reels on I want to say Instagram or one of these social media platforms where they was talking about, again, my guy Kobe and these basketball players. They all talk about how, after a game, he gonna go and shoot 300 more, jump shots, or they're coming in to work out and he's already been working out since 5 a.m., 2 or 3 hours before they even get there. This is how champions think. So although I'm not poo-pooing people who think a certain way that I would consider, counterproductive, all I'm saying is you can do that. But if you want to develop the mindset of a champion, and
Yes.
if you want to have a level of success, then it starts with your thinking. You kind of have to eliminate the stinking thinking. If I want to do something that's crazy, or like we call it wilding out, or do something, I will do that, but not at the expense of my purpose.
Right.
I have to keep my purpose. You keep first things first. Pastor Jeff Landrum, who also has a great podcast, Changing Faces Ministries podcast, he talked about your priorities. And I live by that. We have to have priorities in terms of keeping God first, in terms of identifying and understanding and going for our purpose. And then whether it's family or whatever your priorities are, but you have to have your priorities. Your priorities can't be something that's a negative asset to you. That's an oxymoron. It can't be a negative asset, but something negative. You know what I mean? So you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to waste the whole podcast. So you get me. You kind of you kind of reeling me in.
Yes,
you're
right.
being shrewd in how you're doing it. You're reeling me in. You see you get my blood flowing and I'm sweating and all these other things. Let me just bring it back down because I forgot I was on a podcast.
No, we taking notes, baby. We taking notes. It's something interesting though. When you talk about, you study people, right? You talk about successful people, and we starting, talking. I remember we sat on the beach with Dr. Miles Monroe, and we had dinner in the Bahamas. Anyway, I'm not gonna get to that because we're going another direction. But I remember some of those wonderful, wonderful opportunities we had. But here's something that just happened on yesterday. There was a friend of ours, her, Teresa Fisher, and I called Teresa, a very successful businesswoman out of New Orleans, and I called her and asked her to mentor someone. And I'm not going to go into all of the details and start calling names, but when you talk about the mindset of a champion and how just champions actually operate in that thought process and that mindset. We got the people on the phone and, they start conversing and man, or should I say conversating? I'm just kidding. Don't start
on that. Don't get me started on that. There is no such word. Okay. It's conversing.
But anyway,
Charlie Wilson got a song talking about conversating. I wanted to just write him to write, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So I remember when started, they start conversing and I just put myself on mute and start doing my own thing. And it's amazing how champions operate. I could replace Teresa's mindset or Teresa's name with your name, my name, Nick Saban, and all of these other great individuals with superior thoughts and mindsets. And I was sitting there listening. She had me all fired up. She started giving directives and how to move forward and why and all of those different things. And then she starts saying, we're going to be held accountable. We need timeline. I mean, it was just, I was like, I think I'm about to tear up. So when I listen to you talk about how you study successful people, I want to ask this question because I think people get this confused. Did you just study, I'll just say the Kobe Bryants of the world or the Miles Monroes of the world, or did you study successful people that that's out there that may not be ever heard of before?
Yeah, no, it is people in general. In fact, I don't want to get too deep, but
Yeah,
it
no,
is
no, no, no.
also,
This is the deep dive podcast.
yeah,
This is the
well,
deep
yeah,
dive
yeah.
podcast.
It's the deep dive, but not the too deep dive podcast. I don't want to get too. That may be another podcast, the too deep dive podcast. But nah, actually, I study mindset of people and behavior of animals.
Mm,
The mindset of people and the behavior of animals, because it's the same ideology, if you will. And those people who are, we talk about the Kobe Bryants of the world, uh, they aren't successful because they are the Kobe Bryants of the world. They are successful because of their mindsets first.
yes.
See, when you say that did you just study? And I'm just paraphrasing what you said, but did you just study successful people? The success became afterwards. They
Yes.
had the mindset first. So
Hmm.
there is no such thing as studying the successful people getting to a point. Now you can study their behaviors beyond success, but specifically answering your question, it's anybody, man. I've learned from kids. I've learned from the behavior of animals. I've learned from just anybody. As a matter of fact, I take pride in trying to learn something from everybody that's in my space. I've had people that ask me this, and how dare they ask me, but they've asked me this like, Sam, why do you hang with him, or why do you hang with her, said person, whoever it may be. And I'm offended for that person, because from my standpoint, everyone has value.
Yes.
Everyone has a value. And
Hmm.
if I'm hanging with somebody, regardless of how you may perceive that person, I perceive everybody as if they have a sign on their chest saying, make me feel special, but also that they have something valuable to offer. Right now, that's
Hmm.
if you are, if you own some trash, then that's another story. But so I don't look at titles or success or money or any of those things. Where is your mindset? Where are you thinking? And I thrive on that with people who actually, have that kind of mindset. I thrive on it. And then I know, and I don't want to get too long with it because I know we're wrapping up, but that book, I studied people. Some people I actually had a chance to just sit down with and study, specifically face to face, eyeball to eyeball. Certain people I studied through history, like Gandhi or Muhammad Ali, or, how did they become who they became? And you'll see this in the book. And I even talk about, a couple of my high school classmates and friends. How did they think? How did they become so successful in what they were doing? And so it's a whole spectrum of people that I studied, again, some live, some through history, and then just start looking for what are these common denominators in different categories, and then I compile those thoughts into the mindset of a champion.
Man, this is. Listen, I have about three more questions. I have
Okay,
about
you
700.
notice how I kind of slid
Yeah,
in
I know. I
there
slid that in there.
as we close this podcast.
I know. I know.
How I slid. So I'm a professional podcast host now. This is my third year, so now I consider myself a professional. No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding.
Wait, I
Slid
gotta
that
get.
in there.
I gotta get this though. So,
Go ahead.
so
Go ahead.
if we could do this kind of quickly, because there's one question that's going. I think is going to take some time. But after receiving good success, what keeps you striving for greater?
Yeah, for me, man, I'm never there. Empowerment of
Ah,
people. Remember, I told you that's my purpose.
mhm.
And the empowerment of people is an ongoing process. It'll be a process until the day I die. I welcome people. I like mentoring people. I like empowering people. And that is a lifelong mission. You got to understand and remember this, everybody. Your purpose doesn't have an expiration date on it. It is the purpose of your life.
Yeah,
Remember, I said earlier that God gave you the gift of life, and what you do with that life is your gift back to God. Well, there is no expiration date on that. It expires when you expire. So to answer the question, what keeps me going is the fact that I'm always going to look to empower people. I don't measure my success by my bank account or the things. I measure my success by the number of people that I can empower.
that's strong. How can one get an? This is from Ms. Pat Hartwell. How can one get an accountability partner?
Well, with an accountability partner, the first thing you want to look at someone that you are equally yoked with. Now, I don't mean like from a marital standpoint, anything like that, but I'm talking about from an ideology. Let's just put it on the simplest form. If you're trying to learn how to play basketball, you don't want to be working out with a football player, right?
Hmm.
That kind of thing. You want to kind of get into a situation where there's some people who you can learn from, but their thought process have some similarities to how you think or where you're going or what you aspire to become. You know, when I worked with Dr. Miles Monroe in the past, it is because it started out by me studying his teachings, and when I started to study his teachings, I started to relate to a lot of things that he talked about. He has a
Right.
book called Burden of Freedom, and there are a
Mhm.
lot of things in that book that relates to my life. And so now that becomes a model of who I should try to be mentored by or someone in that space. So I look for that kind of thing first in accountability partners, mentors, whatever it may be. You don't want to be mismatched with someone that's trying to empower you because they only, and by the way, this, what you just asked, I don't know if Pat knew this or not, but this is actually in the book. There's somewhere in this book I talk about the fact that you want to marry, not literally, but marry ideologies with people that can help you achieve your goals and your purpose.
That's right. That's right. Now, here's one from my friend, Miss Vinnie Watson. All right. This
Okay.
one I had to actually write down because I wanted to make sure that I got her question absolute. So she
Okay.
says, I know a lot of research went into writing your book, but also a lot of real life experiences. So, what was the hardest challenge for you to revisit in your life that you felt would help others want to research, understand their truth, and challenge their mindset to be a champion by reading your book?
Yeah, for me, it's really simple. It was my mom. My mom passed before the book was done. If you've gotten the book, you've seen that I put dedications in the book to my mom. And the difficult part, you know, Vinny, is the fact that going through building and writing this book, a lot of the conversations in the beginning of writing the book was, not writing the book, but developing the book was conversations that I was having with my mom, just about life, just about this, and just about that. And then to be able to make promises post book, like, mama, once this book is done, we're going to do this or this or this, or, whatever the case may be, and not being able to see that through because she passed away. And
Hmm.
so she never saw the book. She never got a chance to see something that she helped me work on. For me, Vinny, that was the hardest part. It's still the hardest part because a part of what I regret, and I don't have many regrets in life. And this is a life lesson she talked about in her question. Vinny talked about in her question, life lessons and why you want to read the book. This is one of the regrets that I have, and I want people to understand this. I regret this, and there's nothing I can do to change it. That a lot of the promises and a lot of the things that I promised my mom we would do or have or share could not be fulfilled because she died at, from my standpoint, 68 years young. She was just 68. She died a few years ago, and all of those promises died with her.
Yes.
That's a regret for me that I can never recoup.
Mhm.
Nothing that I would do the rest of my life will fulfill that and take away that regret. So that life lesson is we don't have time to wait. From the time my mom got really sick until the time she passed, it was only 8 months. It was 8 months. Who knew 9 months before she passed that these things that I promised her and the things that we wanted to do and some of the life things, and we did a lot of the things that we wanted to do for her life, but there was a lot more things that she wanted to do, right? Who knew
Mhm.
9 months before she passed that these things wouldn't be possible? 8 months later, she had passed. So that's a regret. To answer your question, that's a regret. Her not actually seeing the book, is a regret. Now I'm talking about in the physical. For those of you who know, she saw the book.
Yeah,
For
she's
those of
sitting
you
right
who
here with
know,
us.
yeah, she's sitting right there, right? She see that dedication and she understand all of the, the things that in the book that we talked about and all of those things. She's right there in the spirit world. But yeah, Vinny, that was the main thing. And there's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of challenges, but that life lesson, man, is to live every day as if it's the last day. Live with a sense of urgency with your life. We can't take anything for granted. We got to go at it. We got to go get it. And the people who are champions, the people who have developed that mindset, those are the people who have done it at a superior level for a long time. That's how you want to think.
Listen, the mindset of a champion. Y'all have to get this book. Go to Amazon, go to One Voice. I'm sorry, Hot Shop Mall. Just listen, get the book. Please get the book. Conclusion, Dr. Oram. One last advice, and I think this can take us out of here, and I think it's powerful. Your good friend. I'm gonna mess with her later on tonight or tomorrow. Miss Virginia Fluker. She said one simple thing she wanted to ask you. What advice would you give to anyone that feels that they have lost hope?
Mm, man, that is the most powerful question that you can ask. As a matter of fact, so many people, let's start with this. So many people
Yes.
have lost hope, even prior to the pandemic. During the pandemic, it got infinitely worse because a lot of
Mhm.
people, they lost jobs, careers, things of this nature. One of the six characteristics of human needs was taken away, and that's human interaction. So all of these things worked on people's psyche, and they lost hope. But what I would say, Regina, to actually answer your question, it kind of goes back to that why that I talked about earlier. I think you want to have a real conversation with yourself, have a real conversation with your creator, in terms of where am I right now with my life and where do I want to be? Look, it's never too late. It's never too late. And as a matter of fact, hope is the driving force behind life. When you have hope, you always have life. It's when people give up hope that they start to become lifeless. The
Yeah.
quality of life deteriorates and they're just really going through, a day to day basis with no quality of life. So hope is that driving force. But you got to find and identify why you're here. Why are you on God's green earth? Why are you here? What is it that you want? So you start to ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself, what is it that I want out of life? Why am I doing this? You may be in a dead end job. Now I'm not talking about Regina, but anyone. You may be in a dead end job from your perspective, it's a dead end job. Well, why are you there? Well, I got to put food on my table. I got to put a roof over my head. Sure, but are you working to circumvent that situation by a better situation? A lot of times people are offering you an opportunity to be better, but we settle for wallowing in mediocrity, right? We wallow in mediocrity when we don't have any hope. Well, you want to dust your hope, get your hope off the shelf, dust it off, and let's get it. Why are you doing this? Identify your why. If you don't know why you're living, you got to go into some deep prayer. I mean, really, you got to go into some deep prayer, identify that, and then allow people to help you. I think, and again, I say this in the book, everybody needs a mentor or a coach of sort. I believe that with everything that's in me. You think about it. Most people consider Tiger Woods the greatest golfer ever. He had a swing coach. I talked about that in the book. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
consider Michael Jordan the greatest basketball player. They considered, Oprah Winfrey, or consider her the greatest journalist. And all of these people have coaches or mentor. Michael Jordan had a coach. Oprah Winfrey had a coach. Tyler Perry has a coach. Gandhi had a coach, a mentor. All of these people have coaches and mentors. So when you're trying to identify your why and you really don't know what it's all about, then dig down deep into prayer, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and and really find that person that can help you extract what your greatness is, what your purpose is, how you're going to succeed at the highest level. That's what you want to do with that.
Y'all go get the book. I'm just tell y'all, go buy the book right now. Go get the book. I know he's going to be uncomfortable with this, but let me just say it. Go get the book. Go to hotshotmall.com. Go to Amazon. Just go get the book. The nuggets, the nourishment that's actually in the book is going to help you long term. And don't just read it, study it. Don't just read it, study it. Make sure you dissect every single word and get revelation out of each thing and then put it into action. I'm telling you, it's going to take you a long ways. Go to Cash App, to the Sam Orum. Cash, always $, the Sam Orum. Send a love offering. Listen, I know, well, I'm going to say it for him. He'll take $1 and he'll take $50,000. It doesn't matter. Send something. Shout out to the. So listen, Lord, Doc, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to interview you on behalf of the book club. We truly appreciate you. Congratulations on your success on the Deep Dive Podcast. Season 3 is here. I cannot wait to see all of the jewels you're going to come out with for season 3. I can't wait. I'm still waiting to get on the Deep Dive Podcast. You think I'm gonna get on this one? I know I ain't successful as you, but
hey man, you have an open door at any time.
Yeah.
Any time.
This was very
but thank
excellent.
you.
This was absolutely very excellent. I'm glad the stars and the moon aligned that we could do this. Our schedules got together. So again, congratulations. And for everybody, go get the book. Go get the book.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Doucette. I really appreciate that. In all sincerity, you know, I've rarely pushed the book, not from a standpoint of not wanting to, but it's not so much for me. It's really about everybody else. But I am, you know, to kind of kick off, as I said, season 3 of the podcast. I'm also going to be on this upcoming episode, this next Wednesday's episode of the Buzz Talk Show with Carol and Carmela. I won't be talking about, this is a part of the book. It's part of the book tour. I'm actually going to do a virtual and a physical book tour. So I'm going to be on the Buzz Talk Show with Carol and Carmela. You can Google that or check it out on YouTube, but I'll be on there next Wednesday at noon Eastern time on One Voice Radio and other platforms. I think I may finally get an invitation from the book club. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to meeting the book club that you guys are doing. How could y'all have a book club about my book? And I have never had an opportunity. Just won't even let me on. I even asked to be on. He's like, no, I don't know.
Invitation only, baby. Invitation only.
But hey, look, in all honesty, I tell you one thing, whatever y'all doing, keep doing it, because there's some magic that's coming out of that book club from what I'm hearing. And I would encourage other people around the world, if you want to create a book club around the book, The Mindset of a Champion, you know, we'll support you in whatever way we can. I look forward to coming. I'm going to do a lot more international traveling in 2023. So I look forward to coming to your countries and, you know, helping and not just talking about the book, but to continue to share the message of empowerment. So with that, guys, it's been a very long podcast, but hopefully you guys have gotten something out of the podcast. Again, Mr. Doucette, thank you so much for, interviewing me and just making this so easy for me. It's difficult for me to talk about stuff that I do, but I really thank you for that. For those of you who have not tuned in, make sure that you tune in to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. He's in hiatus, but he's going to also kick off season 3 of his podcast real soon. But still, all of the podcasts he's done for the first 2 seasons, they're on the website, letstalkwithstanleydoucette.com. Also, even this, I think it's Monday, every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, you'll hear a podcast, and then we'll let you know when he's launching season 3. But guys, if you think this was something, those people on Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, I'll just tell you right up front, they're crazy. They're crazy. They're knowledgeable, but they're crazy, you know. So you want to get a chance, you want a whole nother flavor of podcast, but it is incredible. So we have a lot of fun with a lot of people. We're looking forward to it all. I thank all of you. Again, go back and listen to this podcast. I know this live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. But so it's also going to permanently be on YouTube. It's on my website with all the other episodes, the Deep Dive Podcast.live, Live, and then also on Spotify, Google, Apple, and any other podcast platforms out there. So, guys, I'm super excited about continuing to fellowship with you, to empower you. Join us again on next Thursday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the next episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. Mr. Doucette, again, I salute you, my brother and my friend. Thank you all for joining us on the Deep Dive Podcast. God bless you, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world.